10 spine-chilling true horror stories. Forget about zombies and chainsaw-wielding maniacs. Today we're diving into the realm of real-life horror. These are the stories that keep you up at night, wondering if that creaking floorboard is just the house settling or something far more sinister. Story 1. The Stalker Tinder Match. Imagine swiping right on a seemingly normal guy, only to find out he's been obsessively stalking you. That's exactly what happened to one unlucky college student. What started as a few uncomfortable dates quickly spiraled into a nightmare of constant texts, surprise visits, and even threats. It just goes to show, you never really know who's on the other end of that dating app. Story 2. The Highway Hitchhiker. Picture this, you're driving down a deserted highway late at night when you spot a woman walking alone. Being the good Samaritan you are, you pull over to offer her a ride. But as she gets closer, you notice something's not quite right. Her clothes are torn, her hair is matted, and there's a wild look in her eyes. Suddenly, she lunges for your car door, screaming. You hit the gas and peel out of there, heart pounding. And that's when you remember there haven't been any hitchhiker warning signs for miles. Story 3. The Haunted Hiroshima. Imagine being part of a research team studying the aftermath of the atomic bomb in Hiroshima. As you walk through the eerie, silent streets, you can't shake the feeling that something's watching you. Then you see them, the shadows. Burned onto the crumbling walls, they're all that's left of the people who once lived there. But as you stare at one particular human-shaped shadow, you swear you see it move. And that's when you realize the horrors of Hiroshima aren't just in the past. They're very much alive. Story 4. The Demonic Daughter. What would you do if your own child turned into a monster? For one unfortunate mother, that nightmare became a reality. It started with small things, doors slamming on their own, objects moving inexplicably. But then her daughter's behavior took a disturbing turn. She became violent, speaking in tongues and displaying superhuman strength. No matter how many priests they brought in, the demon wouldn't leave. It just goes to show, sometimes the scariest things come from the most unexpected places. Story 5. The Alien Abduction. You're out for a late-night walk when you see a strange light in the sky. At first you think it's a plane, but as it gets closer, you realize it's something else entirely. Suddenly, everything goes black. When you come to, you're lying in a field miles from where you started, with no memory of how you got there. But then you start having flashes, bright lights, cold metal tables, and human figures looming over you. And that's when you know you've been abducted by aliens. Story 6. The Creepy Crematorium. Working the night shift at a crematorium is eerie enough. But for one unlucky employee, things took a terrifying turn. It started with strange noises coming from the cremation chamber, whispers, scratches, even muffled screams. Then one night, as he was loading a body into the furnace, he felt an icy hand grab his wrist. He looked down and saw the corpse's eyes snap open, its mouth twisting into a grotesque smile. Needless to say, he quit that job pretty quick. Story 7. The Murderous Mother. They say a mother's love knows no bounds. But for one twisted woman, that love turned deadly. To the outside world, she seemed like the perfect parent, always doting on her children, volunteering at their school, baking cookies for the neighborhood kids. But behind closed doors, she was a monster. She poisoned them slowly, day by day, reveling in their pain. And when they finally succumbed, she played the grieving mother, basking in the sympathy and attention. It just goes to show, you never really know what goes on behind closed doors. Story 8. The Ghost in the Graveyard. There's nothing quite as creepy as a graveyard at night. But for one group of teenagers, a late-night dare turned into a real-life horror story. As they were walking through the tombstones, they heard a strange noise, a woman's voice, softly singing a lullaby. They followed the sound to an old, crumbling mausoleum. And that's when they saw her, a ghostly figure in a white dress, cradling a baby in her arms. She turned to them, her face a mask of sorrow, and whispered, "Have you seen my child?" Needless to say, they got out of there fast. Story 9. The Serial Killer Next Door. You always hear about serial killers on the news, but you never think it could happen in your own neighborhood. That's what residents of one quiet suburban street thought until the police showed up one day and arrested their friendly neighbor. Turns out, he had bodies buried in his backyard dating back decades. And the scariest part? He seemed so normal. He went to barbecues, walked his dog, even babysat for the local kids. It just goes to show, evil can lurk in the most unexpected places. Story 10. The Cursed Object. We've all heard stories about cursed objects, dolls that move on their own, mirrors that trap souls, boxes that bring misfortune. But for one unsuspecting family, a simple antique locket turned their lives into a living nightmare. It started with small things, strange whispers, cold spots in the house, an eerie feeling of being watched. But then the accidents started happening. The car crashes, the freak illnesses, the unexplained fires. And that's when they realized the locket was cursed. But by then, it was too late. Well, there you have it, 10 true scary stories that are sure to give you nightmares. It just goes to show, the real world can be a whole lot scarier than anything we can dream up. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content.